Have nice roll call, please.
Angelique Ashby. Bobby Singh Allen.
Here.
Don Natoli.
Here.
Eric Guerra. Garrett Gatewood.
Here.
Kevin Spees.
Here.
Mai Vang. Patrick Kennedy. Phil Cerna. Rich Desmond. Rick Jennings. John Laloe.
Here.
Sean Farmer. Sue Frost.
Here.
Kim Schaefer. Saul Hernandez.
Here.
Chinua Rhodes.
Present.
Quorum with 8 members present.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So at this point, I'm going to go ask Donald Tooley to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, please rise.
Should read the statement.
I'll read
Oh,
statement.
sorry.
Okay.
Read the statement, please.
This meeting of the Sacramento Public Library Authority is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. This meeting is closed captioned and live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.net. Today's meeting will be repeated Saturday, September 24th at 4 p.m. on Channel 14 and can also be viewed on Metro Cable 14's YouTube channel. The meeting will also be recorded via Zoom. A DVD copy will be available upon request no later than 2 weeks following today's meeting. The full agenda, including reports, is available on the library website at www.saclibrary.org. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should raise their hand in the Zoom program. Please speak clearly when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. Please also note that participation in this teleconference via telephone rather than the Zoom app may result in your telephone number being visible to the public during the live broadcast and later telecasts of this meeting.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Can
Please
I go
rise.
have Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to go on to item number 3, presentations. If clerk could read the item into record. Oh, I'm sorry. Let
Item
me
2.
ask first. Is there any public comment?
No public comments.
Excellent. Back to presentations. 3.1.
3.1, Friends of the Sacramento Public Library.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Friends of the Sacramento Public Library. My name is Devon Graves, and I currently serve as the Vice President for the System Friends Board. Since our last time that the board met, we had our meeting and we were able to have our regular updates on the booked in, book first, and planning for Big Day of Giving, already starting that process. And we also elected 2 new members on the board to finish out the terms for members that were not able to finish out their service on the board. But one thing that we did discuss was an update on the affiliate convening that took place on September 8th. If you remember my last report, I shared that some affiliates across the system would be getting together to discuss issues. So we met at Bell Coolidge Library. There were about 20 people representing. There were affiliates from North Highlands, North Natomas, McClatchy, Rio Linda, Rancho Cordova, Cortland, South Natomas, Galt, and Colonial Heights. We were able to discuss topics on creating meaningful work, fundraising, improvement, and community engagement. Overall, it was a successful event where folks were able to share tips and tricks across affiliates, and we hope that this is a thing that we can continue to do. And we also appreciate that Director Peter Coyle and his team were there to participate as well. So we're going to be able to share some of the survey results from this and some feedback from that. And we look forward to that ongoing conversation about transforming the Friends and how to stay upgraded and updated to engage with our community members. As always, thank you again for the opportunity to report.
Thank you so much. Next, 3.2.
Item 3.2, Youth Services Presentation 2022 Summer Reading Recap.
Hold on, I got you.
My name is Christy Ham. I'm the Youth Services Manager. So I'm going to share a few of the takeaways from a really successful summer at Sacramento Public Library. So I don't know where the slides. Okay, here we go. So we had a really successful summer this year by the numbers. This is really a return to normal. We up almost 50% over last year in terms of our signups and finishers. We reached 21,000 people across our community. And I really want to pay attention to the number of finishers, almost 70%, which the finishers is who read 5 or more books. That's the number that really stands to ameliorate the summer learning loss. But really summer reading is more than that. It's a chance for engagement for all ages. And I think these numbers just show you how many chances we had to engage with our community, and you'll see some great pictures here. In addition, the library did a really robust media campaign and some really impressive numbers here. I want to call out our communications team who did an excellent job this summer. So here's objectives of the campaign and what are our talking points, making sure that everyone knows reading is for everyone, and summer reading is a way to celebrate that. In addition, our regular summer program was a return to lunch at the library in person. So we had 13 different branches. This is both a family service project to have free meals available to families, but also a team development opportunity with interns getting valuable work experience and some compensation for their time, earning a lot of experience for their efforts. So it's a really successful summer this year, making sure we had healthy minds and bodies. In addition, partnership with the city of Sacramento, the aquatics department meant we offered free pool passes to summer readers, and we distributed 3,000 swim passes, including for the new North Natomas Regional Aquatic Center, which is really, really popular. This year as well, they expanded it and allowed people who logged 25 books or more a session of free swim lessons. So really making sure we're helping do our part for water safety, something really crucial in our community. So we're thrilled to have this partnership with the city. We just want to share a few pictures of summer readers. You'll see these medals are something that people earn for reading 25 or more books, and it really speaks to that continued engagement. Some of them have multiple medals because they've been coming back year after year. So it really speaks to how valuable families find this program. And it's not just kids, it's readers of all ages. So when you look at the slides that are included in your packet, you'll see a bunch of feedback, really positive remarks from readers of all ages about how valuable that they see this program as being. And so I just want to thank everyone for their support. Again, this is some numbers from our social media reach, our incredible advertising push to make this an incredible effort. In addition, this year we did some in-person events out in the community. We did a kickoff event and a wrap-up event both at McClatchy Park and Oak Park, attended by over 1,000 people, including involving many community groups. So it was a very successful effort. Something we look forward to doing more of. This is some of the advertising you may have seen on billboards, buses, and transit shelters near you. And that's it.
So I just want to say thank you for everything you do. Your work is critical on helping out, especially the diverse and lower socioeconomic groups to come in there and just really appreciate everything you're doing in our community. Board, do you have anything else?
I would just echo Chair's comments, but I thought the way you did was very creative with the bubbles, and then you showed a picture of the young person or, maybe one of the activities. And again, I think it helped illustrate certainly the involvement and engagement, but also the takeaways that young people and their families get from the summer reading program. And I know it requires a lot of effort, but it's ever popular. And again, but it can only be successful, obviously, with dedication of you and your staff, and then the volunteers that may assist in that regard too. And obviously getting young people involved. So good work. Kudos.
Hey, thank you so much. All right, next we have executive report, but our executive is out with COVID. So we have the next best thing, Jared, sitting in.
Well, thank you, Chair Gatewood and members of the Authority Board. Our executive report highlights a number of activities, and I will highlight 3 from this written report. The first is something that is very exciting, is the City of Sacramento and County of Sacramento were awarded grants from Phase 1 of the California State Library Building Forward Infrastructure Grant Program to support library maintenance and capital projects. Total grant awards are approximately $9.1 million, of which the city was awarded $6.7 million and the county $2.4 million. Most notable of the grant awards in Phase 1 is a $5.5 million grant for the renovation of the Martin Luther King Jr. Library, and we can all agree this is well overdue. Phase 2 grant awards will be announced later this year or early in 2023. And we are very hopeful that grants will be awarded for the retrofit of the former Sacramento News and Review building into the new North Sacramento Hagenwood Library, the retrofit of the former Elk Grove Rite Aid building into the new Elk Grove Library, and the construction of the long-awaited Vineyard Library. Secondly, as reported in the board report, there was a meeting last night held by the city of Sacramento and Sacramento Public Library to present the design concepts for the Sacramento News and Review building, the future home of the, design concepts for the new North Sacramento Hagenwood Library. The city's architects presented the design concepts. There was over 40 members of the community who attended and provided feedback. It was very positive. The city is taking those comments and they're going to go ahead and incorporate them into the next set of construction drawings, and there'll be a meeting next month. And they're hoping to be able to move the project along fairly quickly. And finally, on September 31st, SAC-RT held a press conference with the library at the Cosumnes River College Station to unveil the new rolling library. The train, a partnership between SAC-RT and the library, promotes the library and its services. The inside of the train backdrop is reminiscent of the library shelves, and you can scan a QR code using your smartphone to access services on the library website. Be on the lookout for the train on the gold and blue light rail lines. This concludes the report out that I have this time, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the authority board.
Go ahead.
Yes. Good news, Jared, as you just said, on the award from the Building Forward Infrastructure Grant Program. It's our federal tax dollars coming back to our community. I guess I'm curious as to the project descriptions, and I'll maybe just take the county side of it, knowing obviously we either own or lease most of those facilities, but how was it determined? And I saw the criteria you wanted in some underserved neighborhoods and
Right. So
economic, but I was curious about some of these things because some of them may go to user safety and security, but they don't go to the actual setting of the users themselves. So I'm curious.
yeah, correct. So the way that the grant was, so first of all, it's a $435 million grant program that was awarded to the state library. And it's quite historic that much money was given for deferred maintenance and building capital improvements.
Okay.
Of which additional, I think another 100 million has been thrown into the pot. So phase 1 was what they called critical life and safety.
Oh, it was. Okay. That was the criteria.
And
Okay.
phase 2 would be building refreshes and new builds. However, the King Library being the first library in the nation to be named after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was given special consideration because being 50 years old and that, it was the first in the nation, that it was decided that one would actually skip phase 2 awards and be awarded
Go
in
right to the
phase
line,
1.
headline.
So the other projects that we have, the North Sacramento Hagenwood Library, the Elk Grove Library, and of course the Vineyard Library, those are definitely in consideration for phase 2. So one of the things that does weigh in is the state library is using what is called the California Poverty Measure. And that looks at a series of different factors, of which Sacramento County actually does score where it does make it fairly favorable for us to receive those grants. So where we're not sure we will receive all of the funds, we do think that there will be a huge lion's share. Now, in terms of the grants that the county received this time, most of them were in response to ADA requests. And so we'll be able to tackle ADA issues at many of the unincorporated county libraries, as well as HVAC upgrades as associated with COVID.
Right. No, I saw they were, again, security, fire, life, safety, as you said. I didn't realize that was the criteria. I knew with, I knew from your staff report, obviously the opportunity continued to seek it for the North Sacramento Hagenwood in both Elk Grove and Vineyard. So when's that next round? You said it's going to be
So the
year?
next round is promised later this year or early in 2023. State Library is aggressively trying to get the money out the door because all funds must be expended
2026,
by
yeah.
2026 and cannot be encumbered or carried over. So they are working very aggressively at that. They did receive over 400 plus applications and fund requests and over $500 million. And able to make these determinations, they did have to farm out some of the evaluation of the applications. So they are moving fairly quickly.
But you said 463 million or something in that number. And then so for 500 million, that's pretty close. I mean, you could fund a whole lot of everything.
I think so. I think the
Yeah.
intent is that everything is going to get some funding. It may not be the full grant amount. For example,
Are there
Mar-
matches required then? I'm
yes,
sorry.
yes, there's a match based on your California poverty measure and your local income per capita.
So if you took Elk Grove or Vineyard, then there needs to be some match. I mean,
Yes.
obviously the case in Sonny Bobby or others could speak to the or Kevin to, what their match, they purchased the site and
Right.
so forth. Vineyard where we own the site. So you can use that as a match. You don't necessarily have to have a cash
Actually,
match.
it has to be an actual cash match. And so the county has looked at that and in ways to be able to make that happen.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to offer one other comment, Mr. Chair, that if, letters of support or an endorsing resolution from governing body, i.e. Board of Supervisors in the case of, Vineyard Library, if that would be helpful. Staff has some authorities to provide match, but, if it's a significant number, it would still require coming to the board to make the application. And I would just suggest that if there's some additional support, and again, we have our friends
Yeah.
here too. So again, I don't know, again, there's some criteria that are obviously objective, but I would assume that, depending upon the competition and, who you're competing against in any given category, that having additional community and or governing body support wouldn't hurt anyway. So if that's needed, Jared, I would just say that, again, I'm pleased, and we
Yes.
all should be, to have $10 million come to our community for these upgrades. But if there's a need to complement that with either more support and or standing up a significant match, I for one would be certainly willing on our board to consider that.
So we will
Yeah.
definitely take you up on that
Yeah.
offer because it definitely will be helpful
Okay.
and for phase 2 awards.
Okay. Very good. Good. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Director Rhodes has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Director Rhodes.
Yes. So I was just wanted to say that I had an opportunity to go out to the old SNR building and for the New Havenwood Library. I think that you guys did an amazing job presenting to the community members, and there's a lot of excitement around that library there. So I just want to give staff a kudos for their continued work. Also very excited about the Martin Luther King Library, specifically because I'm a South Side guy and I live on 68th Avenue, and I know the community here in the South Side is really going to be excited about that as well, and look forward to the second round of funding and getting the rest of the county and other parts of the city, their libraries as well. But this is really just a big kudos to library staff and what you guys have been able to do. The community is impacted heavily, and we look forward to more of this. So thank you.
All right, excellent. See no other hands raised. Let's go ahead and move on. If there's no information, that's awesome. It's a shame. It's a library. Move on to consent. Clerk, can you read the items?
Item 6, consent. We have 2 items on the consent calendar.
All right. Do I see a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Sing Allen.
Perfect. Can I get a roll call, please?
Angelique Ashby, Bobby
Public
Sing
comment.
Allen,
Yes.
Don Natoli,
Aye.
Eric Guerra, Garrett Gatewood,
Aye.
Kevin Spees,
Aye.
Mai Vang, Patrick Kennedy, Phil Cerna, Rich Desmond, Rick Jennings, Sean Malloy,
Aye.
Sean Farmer, Sue Frost,
Aye.
Tim Schaefer,
Aye.
Saul Hernandez,
Aye.
Chinua Rhodes.
Aye.
Motion passes with 9 members present.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to item 7. Clerk, can you go ahead and read the item into?
Item 7.1 fiscal year 2022 to 23 final budget, position control and fine and fee structure.
Is John going to do a presentation?
Yes,
There he is.
thank you, Chair Gatewood and members of the board. So for consideration is the fiscal year 22-23 final budget, position control and fee structures. I'm happy to report that there's not too many changes. So just a handful of minor changes within the revenue sections and expenditure section as well too. So I'll refer you to the staff report but feel free to ask me any questions as I go through and highlight the budget changes. So Madam Clerk, if I can share my screen, please.
You have sharing.
So diving right into the numbers, this is the 3-year fund balance flow. So from fiscal year 21, 22 to projected fiscal year 23 fund balances. So as you look here in the second column, the beginning fund balance based on the audited financial statements at June 30, 2021 is 48.7 million. Estimated revenues for fiscal year 22 is 54.8 million total. And overall expenditures at roughly 47.1 million. You'll notice there's a significant amount of savings here due to COVID delays and supply chain shortages and so forth. So as you'll see later on, we're going to put some of that money back into this upcoming budget for unfunded, for capital projects and one-time expenditures. So total estimated fund balance at June 30, 2022 is projected to be at 56.5 million. The finance staff are working hard to close the books, prepare adjusting accrued entries and final journal entries to prepare for the upcoming fiscal year 22 audit, which is within a couple of weeks. So these numbers are subject to some minor changes. I don't foresee too many changes. We've done a great job in accruing and making sure all the expenditures and revenues are in the proper amounts. So moving on to the current fiscal year, so fiscal year 22-23 budget, as you'll recall, the board had adopted a May budget to get us started as of beginning of the fiscal year, July 1, 2022. So estimated revenues is 56.4 million combined, and expenditures at 60.6 million. Again, we're using about 4.2 million in fund balance, as I mentioned earlier, to work on one-time capital project needs. And then next column to the right is the cash flow and economic uncertainty reserve balances. So the county, again, as a reminder, it's reserved at 35% based on the operating budget, and the city funding sources at 17% based on the operating budget. So 10.9 million for the county, City of Sacramento 2.5 million, City of Sacramento Power Soul Tax X, a little bit over $1 million, and approximately 400,000 for Measure B. And then the final column, this is our projected unreserved fund balance. And I mean, the term unreserved, there's still a restriction that the money needs to be used for library purposes, but these are the unreserved based on what is not reserved for economic uncertainty. So the county fund balance is at 16.5 million unreserved fund balance, 9.3 for the City of Sacramento, 5 million for Measure X, and 1 million for Measure B. There's a small technology fund of 1.3 million and a roughly 4.4 million in other funding sources. And this is mainly donations and requests from donations. So overall, we're looking at about 37.5 million in unreserved fund balance, and the reserve for economic uncertainty and cash flow needs is 14.8 million. So any questions on this schedule? So
I
moving on,
had a quick question.
yes.
Does this mean we're running a negative this year from 2022 to 2023 of 4 million?
Yeah.
Or is that
sure.
because we're spending it on, like we had reserves for building and now we're spending it?
That is correct, Chair Gatewood. So we are recommending to use about 4.2 million fund balance. And again, these are mainly to work on carry forward projects from the prior year, such as security system upgrades, and then one-time capital projects for new carpet, painting, furniture at various branches. So a lot of the projects will put on hold or delayed due to supply chain issues and shipping delays. So we are recommending to put some of that savings back into the current fiscal year budget.
Okay, thank you.
So moving on to Exhibit A2. So again, this is a total budget summary. So final budget 56.4 million in available resources, expenditures at 60.6 million. Again, the roughly 4.2 million for one-time capital projects and some budget carryovers for the prior year projects that were not completed. Exhibit A3, this is our source of funding, funding sources. So as you see here, the county contributions. So this is our property tax payments. So at this point, we're not recommending any changes. Staff contacted the county assessor and we're comfortable with the 7% that we recommended back in May. So 7% increase back in May. The City of Sacramento general fund contribution and Measure U contribution is 14.3 million. So this number is built into the step up, the 5-year step up increase. So we are confident that these numbers are solid. And then Measure X is estimated at 6.5 million. And then again, this increase is based on the San Francisco CPI index back in May. So this is a 3% increase from from the prior year budget that we adopted back in May. So no increase is recommended for the September final. And then moving on to Measure B, 4.5 million. So again, this number is staying as recommended. And this 200,000 increase, this is for the electric bookmobile. So this is a grant revenue from the Sacramento Air Quality Management District. So 200,000 matching grant from the Sacramento AQMD. So again, total revenues is 56.4 million and only 200,000 in recommended increases. And moving on to Exhibit A4, the total expenditures for the Sacramento County Fund is at 33.7 million, 218,000 increase based on a cost allocation plan increase for some budget carryovers. City of Sacramento, same thing. This is just the cost allocation increase. So 25% goes to the City of Sacramento Fund. 59% goes to the county funding sources for cost allocation. And 12% of that amount goes to Measure X and 4% goes to Measure B. So again, this is based on a cost allocation for the for shared fund cost. And this 200,000 increase, this is again for that electric bookmobile that we are recommending to finish up the project and finish the vehicle build within fiscal year 23. And then this 100,000 in Fund 400. So this is for the Del Paso, the Del Paso book kiosk, which have been open and in operation since August. So again, this is just a carryover to finish up the project. So overall, the total budget is 60.6 million and a roughly 670,000 increase in from our May budget. And so moving on to the book fund, as you'll recall, the pandemic, really resulted in a high demand for books. We upped our book budget the last couple of years to 8 million. So staff is recommending that we keep the book budget at the same level. So no changes here. And on position control, just one change. So adding the human resources manager to position. This is to provide additional capacity and expertise within the human resources department. So we're moving from 315 FTEs to 316 FTEs. So staff is recommending to increase the position control by one position. And lastly, the fee structures. There's no recommended changes at this time. So as you'll recall, we move away from collecting fines. So all these are still zero. And so mainly just collecting fees for lost books, materials, rental space in the Galleria and meeting rooms and so forth, copies. So no recommended changes at this point. So that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Thank you for your report. Does anyone have any questions? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move adoption.
Second, Frost.
Public comment, Mr. Chair.
Oh, is there any public comment? You in the back, calm down. Calm down. Maybe next time. All right. Roll call, please.
Angelique Ashby. Bobby Singh Allen.
Yes.
Don Natoli.
Aye.
Eric Getta. Eric Gatewood.
Yes.
Kevin Spees.
Aye.
Mai Bang. Patrick Kennedy. Bill Cerna. Rich Desmond. Rick Jennings. Sean Malloy.
Aye.
Sean Farmer. Sue Frost.
Aye.
Tim Schaefer.
Aye.
Saul Hernandez.
Aye.
Chinua Rhodes.
Aye.
Motion passes with 9 members present.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any reports, ideas, or questions?
Mr. Chair, I have one follow-on question if I could. Just
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
back to the executive director's report. It occurred to me, I saw that Elk Grove, City of Sacramento and County had applied, but I know we had some discussions going back several years ago, working with the City of Galt, and there had actually been some grant monies through the county's TOT tax to do some architectural work and working with the city-owned building there in the City of Galt. I just was going to suggest if they were already offered the opportunity, but again, they actually had designed for a project that would have provided some additional meeting space, community rooms, and reading areas. They have as folks know, a large usage by the student population there, and COVID may have affected some of that as far as in person. But I guess I would like to see if there's a second round, if they didn't apply this last time, not to insert further competition, but I would hope that, again, where we have facilities that are owned by other entities, and of course, in the city of Alton, obviously that's a school district facility as well. But again, I would just make sure, because they may not have the expertise to do the grant application. So Jared, maybe.
We did work with City of Galt, and they were not ready for it now. We're hoping in phase 2,
They are
and
looking
we
phase
have
2.
extended the offer to them to help them with the application.
You're way ahead of it. Thank you very much. That's good. Okay, thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Bye, guys.